Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast where we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. As always, I'm Shanae Howard, and with me is Tommy Shelby.
Hello.
And Ryan Robinson.
Hi, how are you?
Alright. Allergies are kicking my butt today.
Yeah.
Same,
how are y'all?
dude.
Yeah. Texas really, really wants me to move out of the state.
Yeah, I was washing my mom's car today and vacuuming the inside of it for her, and all that dust it's really not good.
Yeah, we're dog sitting my in-laws' dog right now because they went to Mexico City, and I sneezed 5 times in a row, and my dog my bad dog, she came and checked up on me, but their dog is old and crotchety and harumphed at me and then moved further away from me I'm disgusting.
Yeah.
So there's this episode of the show Frasier where Niles is supposed to be dog sitting Martin's dog Eddie, but puts it in a kennel. You should do that.
Nah, he's old and he has a lot of health problems. It's he's in his crust punk era, so he's just over everything.
Sure.
What about you,
most
Ryan?
of the crust punks I've met have not been old.
Well, he's crusty and hates everything, so
Yeah.
Wait, is that what you think crust punk means?
No, but I just think it's funny to say that he's in his crust punk era because he's smelly and angry.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know.
Smells like crude oil.
I don't know that I have allergies to speak of. I just kind of sneeze a lot lately, as in lately being the last 2.5 years, just constantly. So I don't know what's going on. It's gross.
What have y'all been playing?
Nothing. Kirby. That's it.
That's fair.
Yeah, and even that, just a little bit.
What about you, Ryan?
So I played a few little gamey games aside from the usual. So Everspace 2 came out last weekend, so I've been playing a lot of that.
Is that just a space-themed EverQuest game?
Yes. Next question.
Yes and no.
Are you my father?
Shanae, if I were your dad, we'd have a very long talk about some of the things that you say to me. No, so it's so the first Everspace was a space shooter / roguelite affair. And in this game, they've gone away from the whole roguelite format and kind of made it this open thing where you can go anywhere in the galaxy and you do different quests. And they're trying to turn it into a looter shooter, but you're in a spaceship. The ship even controls like you're in an FPS. It's very, very fun. But I've been liking it a lot. I've been waiting for that game to come out for a long time. So getting the chance to actually finally play it has been really cool. When the game launched too, there was a bug where during combat the game would hitch for a full second and a half, and within 48 hours they had fixed it, and that was really surprising, but it was really, really nice. But yeah, Everspace 2 is a lot of fun. Also played a game called The Chant. I don't know.
Oh God, how is that?
It's not
I've
bad.
looked at it so many times.
It's not
I'm
bad.
Really?
Yeah, it's not bad. So what's funny though is it's not. I was expecting more of an Until Dawn situation.
Okay.
And it's more of a. It's more of a I don't know how you would describe it, but it's more action focused than that is. There's there are dialogue choices that you can have through at different points, but it's not the focus the way it is in Until Dawn. So I don't know why I thought that the two games would be similar, because they are very much not. But I don't know. I think it's fun. It's creepy and weird, which I like.
It looks interesting, but it also looks super budget. So I've like never pulled the trigger on it.
So it is. I can tell you after
You have a billion games in your library. This is the one that makes you pause.
Yeah, like I can go like full, all the way in one direction, all the way in the other, but it's always the in between that I'm like, I don't know.
So I can tell you after So from what I know, there are 6 chapters in the game. I'm in chapter 3, so I would imagine that puts me at the halfway point. I will tell you that it is both budget and weird. What probably one of the weirdest things about it to me is my weapon is I have like I gotta plug a burning sage. I'm swinging at these fellers.
Right. Yeah, I've seen all that.
But I've also got brain powers and crystal powers. And also I'm constantly having to stave off panic attacks. Because once you go into a panic attack,
that's a game?
back.
I just thought that was my reality.
You got crystals and shit over there, Sinead?
Yeah, you get.
I don't. Is that the problem?
So yeah, Sinead,
I have medication.
You need 5 different colored crystals, right? And
right.
Basically, you get those, you wear them, and they'll help you manage your anxiety a lot better than medication.
All right, I need to write this down. Is there like specific colors? As long as it's 5 different colors, it's good.
I remember there's an orange one, there's a blue one, there's a red one, I think. Maybe a purple one. I don't know.
I like the idea of that game, but like, I would love to see that game with like a AAA budget.
I would say that game got exactly the budget that it needed.
But is it the budget it deserves?
Yes, also. I don't know. I think it's a fun, interesting little game. I don't think that it doesn't seem like it's very long. And I don't know. It's a neat little experiment that this developer did with it. I don't know. I think it's definitely worth a shot. I would say you should probably do like I did if you're gonna get it and get it on a sale. Because I got that game for like 15 smackers. So, but so far I think it's pretty neat. And then I played some Red Dead Redemption 2, and then I also played some Wolfenstein because I like to be sad when I play my games. So,
I have just been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to go back to Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm over it.
Yeah.
But Baldur's Gate 3 has been fun. I texted y'all, but me and Berto restarted.
Yeah,
it was We don't need to talk about that. No one accidentally deleted any save files. It was just a choice that we made. We just figured, let's just do it again.
It was that bad dog of yours. He probably did it.
She's not that bad of a dog. Only I get to say she's bad.
Oh, well, I just said it on record. So with doing this new playthrough, are you doing it exactly the way you were doing it when you started the last one?
So Berto's reading out some stats, and apparently most people make like custom characters. But playing Divinity 2, I know that like you get a lot more like quest options and like choices when you play the game if you play like a pre-made character. So I chose to this time to play a character called the Dark Urge, where you don't really get much of a backstory. It's the only pre-made character where you can change all of the like race class features.
They don't see race.
And Umberto decided to be a drow bard. And it's been like pretty fun. But like Berto's character doesn't even try, just rizzes up everybody. Everybody wants to bone him. Mm-hmm. I have been trying so hard. Yeah, like just like real life Berto. Yeah. Meanwhile, I try super hard and I get fucking nowhere. Yeah. I get one NPC into me, and sorry, a little bit of spoilers.
Just like
into you?
Yeah, into me. And then spoilers though, but like when you rest at the campsite, you'll get like cutscenes most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm resting, and it does a cutscene where it's my character, and there's like the one character I rizzed up and was like into me, dead, and blood all over my hands.
Yeah.
No, nothing explaining why.
Yeah.
And I decided not to hide the body because I thought I would get more options to like try and figure out what's going on. But no, people just woke up and now everyone's mad at me even more. Like,
man, Sinead's love life is crazy.
Yeah, so I decided to like kind of give into one of my the darker options. Turns out I get a butler.
That's pretty cool.
Some sort of demon butler. So I mean, no one wants to fuck me, but I got a butler that looks like a corpse. So I got that going for me.
You'd probably do better in the romance department if you went full crust punk.
Probably if it just smelled like crude oil, got bad tattoos.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're having fun. Berto's playing a game with me. He has like his own solo game with some long-standing friend, and then a game with some long-standing friends. But this game this new game that me and him are playing, we've actually found some stuff that he's never come across yet, which is like interesting. And we just defeated a swamp witch and some gnolls.
Okay.
And yeah, that's just basically what I've been doing now that Berto's no longer in Houston and being an absentee father.
Right.
We've had a lot more time to play, and we're almost where we were before something tragic happened to our last save.
Yeah, you'll have to explain how that happened at some point, because I'm kind of...
Because like it has like some auto saves that saves like a bunch of them. I think the limit's like 25, but you might be able to bump that up. But he was trying to clear some out, and it's like selected the wrong one. So technically there was a save from our like first game, but it's like it was like hours back.
Did he come to you like all meek, hat in hand?
Like, basically, yeah. He just came, like, I was outside having a cigarette, and he just came out and was like, "Hey, you're about to be mad at me."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, what did you do?" And he's like, "I accidentally deleted our save." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, how far back is like any save?" I was like, and that's fair because I kind of like wasn't really liking the choices I had made with my character. Like, I had chosen Will the first time, and he's like has like a devil's bargain, but the person they wanted me to kill in my bargain, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So because I didn't, they like transformed me into like, I'm not sure if it's like a demon or a tiefling, but I got transformed and like some of their options were blocked off. So I was kind of thinking anyways, I'm like, man, I'm playing this game wrong. But it's like, that's what happens the first time you play it.
Sure.
So I honestly wasn't that mad. I like my new character, even though I can't. Nobody's connecting with me, and the only people that are, I apparently kill them. Possibly. It's looking like it was me.
Yeah. Art imitates life, you know?
I mean, I am a murderer. Yeah. But yeah. So we've just been doing that. And yeah. But this week though, we wanted to talk about the best jumps in games. And I will say, though, there's nothing worse in a game than like if they give you the jump option and it's like a bad jump. Like you have jumps as an action option in Baldur's Gate 3, but they're like small little hops. It's like everything's too high for me to jump.
Yeah.
That's not really the type of game you would expect to jump in, though, you know?
Yeah, but sometimes I want to jump over like a pit of acid, and I can only make it like halfway through the pit.
Yeah.
I have a lot of dexterity in my character. I'm a ranger. I should be doing like Legolas flips.
All right.
Saying. But as far as best jumps, I'd say probably Mario Odyssey.
Very good jump in Mario Odyssey.
What's the good jump in Mario Odyssey? What makes the jump so good?
Well, first off, like you could do like double jumps, which is always nice, and the fact that you can like add your hat to it. So it just really changes up the directional game you can go, or directional way you can go with your jumps.
Yeah. You can clear a lot of distance in that game. Like, there are some capture abilities that are meant to be used to get across large gaps. And if you get good enough at the game, you can just ignore that capture completely.
Yeah.
Because you have, like, the Mario 64, like, jump, flip thing, right? Yeah. But on top of that, you can then toss Cappy and then jump off of it. And, like, you can just keep it going for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
If you are good at it, you know.
And also it's just like satisfying because of like the distance and even the animation of the jumps too. Like there's sometimes when like I jump around in games and it feels like I'm not doing, like it just feels rather lame.
Yeah.
But not so much with that game.
Are there Mario games with bad jumps? Is there a Mario game where his jump is bad?
Kart.
The Mario 2 USA, right? Like Doki Doki Panic Mario 2.
Yeah.
The Luigi jump in that game I really don't like. It's his weird, like it's where he gets his weird floaty jump from is that game, you know?
Yeah.
I don't much care for that. But Mario himself, his jump is fine in that game.
Is his jump just a neutral? Because I remember everybody having their jump gimmick. I remember Peach had her like she floats a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then doesn't Luigi doesn't he jump higher than everyone?
He jumps higher, but it's slow and kind of floaty. Toad's is the lowest jump. Mario's is like somewhere in between. But like Mario's is kind of what you would expect Mario's jump to be, right? Like you can jump, but also like turn back a little bit, just like you could in Mario 1 or Mario 3 or Mario World.
Sure.
Mario's got just an average jump in that game, but you know, I'd say that's maybe the worst one. Toad is the fastest, and also digs the fastest. So for like a lot of the sand levels, Toad's advantageous.
Okay, dig 'em.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think Mario's jump is definitely the one that's going to come up, right? Like Jumpman, right? Like it's fucking Mario. But yeah, like it comes up for good reason. It feels good. It feels better to jump as Mario than it does as Sonic or Simon Belmont or whatever.
And I've never really felt like it felt great to jump as Sonic, right? Because for me, in my experience. Okay, so his whole thing is like he's going fast, and I always feel like a lot of the time, and maybe I'm just bad at Sonic, I don't know, but a lot of the time I always felt like the jump like killed whatever momentum I had built up, and I don't feel like I'm going so fast no more.
I feel like you're still going fast, but like less precision because of how fast you're going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and then I hit something and all my rings fucking fly out.
Yeah.
And that just saps all my enthusiasm. So his is bad. But
sure.
Maybe it's just because it's one of the platforming game that I like use to try and like really get into them more. But I did really like but I did really like the jumps in Alice Madness Returns, especially whenever you get the thing where you can float a little bit further down, like I think it was the parasol.
And there's a double jump.
Yep, and there's also just like as I was saying before, like some of them feel good. I feel like there's weight to her jumps. It makes sense with the terrain she's like maneuvering and the way that it feels. It doesn't feel like she's like a super heavy character, but also it feels solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think as far as like 3D games go, that's definitely a good one.
I was thinking about it, and so I've gotten a lot of, and I'm kind of lumping these two games in like kind of the same thing because they kind of give me that same feeling. Is in both Mirror's Edge and in Dying Light. I feel like this getting a good running start and like jumping from one roof to another, like in first person, that just like it feels really good. Like I know that I'm never gonna be able to fucking do that, but like it's as close to like feeling like I'm doing it as I can probably get. And it just like the fluidity and the momentum based gameplay of those games makes those jumps feel really good. You feel like you're still like moving really fast. Yeah, I like those jumps because they just feel like especially with it being in first person, like, man, I feel like I'm really moving, and like it just, you feel like a little acrobat like in the movies, you know.
Yeah, to go off of that, and like this game is definitely nowhere near as realistic as those games as far as your movement capabilities, but like Neon White, as far as first person platforming goes, like it's much faster than those games, and there are, you know, I don't know if you'd call them enemies, more like obstacles, like the big balloon things that you can pop to just like keep yourself in the air for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Super, super satisfying.
That always seemed like one of those games that was really fast in a way that like you always felt like you're just on the edge of control at any given moment. Like you're kind of like you're tuned in, and like any like the smallest miscalculation will fuck you up. But like, so you always feel like you're just on the verge of like losing it. That's what it always felt like to me, because I've never played it, but that's just the sensation that I got.
That's one of the ones like that's one of those games that they put on consoles, and I'm like, I can't imagine playing it without a mouse, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. I've got a lot, and I think it's like, it depends on the kind of game I'm playing, what kind of jump I prefer, you know? I like Mario's jump a lot, but I like the complete opposite end of that spectrum as well. Things like Castlevania, right? Like old Castlevania, or like I think all the time about Prinny, Can I Really Be the Hero? Where it's like your jump is set. You can't like jump and then turn back around. Yeah. You hit that button and you're gonna go that distance, you know? Yeah. And I really like that. Obviously it makes the games harder, but those games are meant to be harder, you know?
And Prinny, does the jump feel as like, because like I feel like Simon, and I'm only like my only real experience with Castlevania outside of Symphony of the Night was the original, and I feel like Simon's jump always felt kind of like weighty, you know? Like kind of a heavy, like slower jump.
The jump in Prinny is very weighty, and like you are not adjusting it. It's a set distance. That's where you're gonna land, you know? Yeah. Which is neat because like you have to press that button at the right time, you know? So like there's that end, but on the other end, yeah, for sure, Mario. I think there's games like Downwell that have made jump the entire mechanic of the game, right? Like everything you do is jumping, like whether that's shooting or reloading. Well, reloading is landing, but you know, like that game is all about just jumping, and I think it handles it very, very well. But you know, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you could take something like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Yeah. Where, like, you know, we had Super Jump before, but, like, for Super Jump to go that high in a fighting game is super fun. But, like, specifically having characters like Sentinel, where you get, like, off the ground for what feels like half the match, you know? Yeah. Is really, really cool. But, yeah.
And, like, I like one of the cool things about that is I think that the super jump in Marvel versus Capcom kind of like helps you to feel like, because you're like, for like half the roster is a bunch of superheroes, and you like really get that superhero feel when they're like jumping up off the ground like 20 feet in the air and like punching each other in midair. That shit's cool. So
yeah, and like that whole thing, I don't know, I mean, before the Marvel series, I'm sure there must be fighting games that had similar mechanics, right? But definitely after that is where you start to see the rise of like more anime fighting games, where like half your match is taking place off the ground, you know? Yeah. And I really like that. You know, that's Melty Blood, that's Under Night. Like that stuff's great.
I also want to give a shout out to Spyro's jump. I really like that, especially when you're running, the curve it has to it. Sometimes I would misjudge it, and I'm like, okay, I did it too soon. But I don't know. It just like it seemed like how like a tiny dragon would jump, excluding like the jump into a fly, or just doing just the jump.
Yeah.
That's I think it's Year of the Dragon where you have like the tracks where you have the catching the egg thieves, and you have to jump those areas. And you can't, like, if you keep flying, then it'll like lower your time. So it's like it's just better to jump and not fly. And I just like that they like how they utilized it in the game. I feel like it's much better than other similar games of this time, like compared to like the Spyro jump. Not Spyro, the Crash Bandicoot jump. Yeah.
I think that team in general just does movement very, very well. They always have, right? Like Ratchet and Clank, like using Clank with the propellers and all that shit after your jump. Even going into like Spider-Man and all that. Like that team just knows traversal very well.
I also think that like the running jump into flying or running jump into gliding always feels really cool. I think especially like when like people do it really well, and like when you do it like as like with something like Spyro, like it has like it adds like a really cool sense to it. It's one of those, that's another one of those games that like I always looked at, and I was always like, man, that looks so cool, but I just never got around to like actually engaging with it.
Well, also in my list of games that I have written down, and this one you have played, Ryan, is Spiritfarer.
Yeah.
Because there's not like much to the game as far as actual gameplay, and a lot of it is like you building your boat, and you have to have the levels. And like when you're collecting jellyfish, like the jellyfish are just going across your screen, and you have to jump up and down. Yeah. And they have and eventually you'll unlock like essentially clotheslines that you can like traverse up and down.
Yeah.
But like the actual jumping in it though, like I don't know, it feels pretty weightless, which makes sense in the character. Since like it's the afterlife and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that like I feel like her jump feels exactly the way you expect it to, considering like if you look at it, there's so much of that game that is like where you're just like going up vertical structures. Like pretty much everything that you're doing is traversing up some vertical structure. Yep. Like it's your boat, or like when you pull into a town, like it's all like that's all everything is. So it definitely makes sense.
Or when you go to that area that has like all those like small islands with the trees, like you're going up those as well. I mean, it is like a platformer, but it is like definitely more vertical than horizontal on all of these.
Yeah.
So if the jump wasn't good, or the double jump that you get later wasn't good, like there'd be no gameplay.
Also, like tangentially, like I enjoy like a good jump is good, but it's even better when it's accompanied by a good glide. I get a good glide going.
And which you can also glide in that game.
Yeah, you get a good glide going. That always feels good. I have also Maneater. There aren't a whole lot of things that feel cooler than jumping out of the ocean as a big shark. I think that shit is fucking dope, especially when I'm jumping out of the water as a shark to get someone to like kill some dudes in a boat, and like as I'm coming up from like onto the boat, like I jump through the fucking boat and it explodes into splinters. That shit's fucking cool. And so, and I haven't played a whole lot of games where you play as a shark. In fact, I've played 0 other games where you play as a shark. But that one gave me like a really cool feeling every time I like jumped out of the water. Sometimes I would just do it to do it, just because I thought it looked cool and it felt cool to do it. Especially like as you get like more powers. Like once I like got my electric teeth and my electric fins, and I was jumping out of the water and like doing like missile attacks, like not missile attacks, but like I was turning myself into a missile of sorts, like in there. That shit's really cool. And I don't know, I don't know how well like it was actually done, but it felt good. So
that reminds me a lot of Donkey Kong's jump in Tropical Freeze, like jumping out of the water in Tropical Freeze, you carry the momentum, like in the direction that you exit the water.
Yeah.
And it works really well. Jumping in general in that game is awesome. Like, I know you guys don't know. Shanae, you might know. You played the game, but there's a level.
No, I played Funky Mode, so apparently I didn't play the game.
It's a level you have to unlock. It's one of the harder levels in the game. It's called Popopolis, and the entire level is jumps. Like, there's nowhere. Like, you have to land on very small platforms for that entire thing, And it's fantastic. That game controls like you want a game like that to control.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to remember the name of it, but have you ever played those games where you can't like double jump out of water, or the jump out of water is just real fucking stupid?
There's a lot of games where jumping out of water feels like shit, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's always super frustrating the first time you find it out. You're like, son of a fucking bitch, how am I gonna get out of this water?
It's funny. It's funny because like realistically, like you can't jump out of water, but like
realistically, I'm not a dragon.
But listen to what I'm saying.
Echo the dolphin can jump out of water.
listen to what I'm saying. Jesus. But like,
no.
What's funny is that like if I'm playing a game that doesn't let me do that, I'm always like, this is bullshit. Let me jump out of the fucking water. Like, don't make me swim to the ledge. Just let me jump out of the water into wherever I'm going. I don't know why that is. I've been conditioned that way because of the old games, I think.
What are some games that you would say have like particularly terrible jumps?
Every Rockstar game.
Fair.
Yeah. And I think that's just mostly because like, one, I don't think jumping has ever been the emphasis in like really any of their games. I think that like more like their movement has always skewed more toward the realistic, and the jump was always seemed like a button that you could just press just to make your character jump. So they could jump a realistic height most of the time. But that doesn't mean the jump feels any less lame. So, and the scope of video games, because like the jump button in Rockstar games tends to actually be a climb up onto the ledge button more so than an actual jump button. It's just that when you're not near a ledge, they just do a little hop. So,
I know like a lot of people love this game, and I like the game a lot too. But like, I never cared for the way that it feels to control Banjo-Kazooie like at all. Maybe it's because I was a Mario 64 kid, and that shit just feels so fucking smooth,
Yeah.
Banjo just feels much slower, and I don't know.
I've never played a Banjo-Kazooie game.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
Maybe it's because I played it on the Genesis, but I just remember, and like whenever we saw Kayla playing it on the emulator, I was like, oh, she's like, maybe I just sucked at it. But I'm still gonna say the Lion King game on the Genesis had a real bad jump. I feel like it wasn't going where I told it to, or it would go like really far. I just feel like the like actual like spacing on it was not good. But it could have just been because I was really bad at it. But I'm gonna blame the game.
A lot of the licensed Disney stuff, you had exceptions, right? Like DuckTales feels amazing, but like for sure, Lion King feels a little weird. Aladdin feels a little weird. Like it's just not what you would expect it to be.
But I remember, like, I felt better controlling Aladdin than I did the Lion King game. And also, like, even though I love this game, the first Kingdom Hearts jump, it is definitely not good. Like, trying to, like, traverse, and especially getting, like, those boxes in Alice in Wonderland where you have to go through all these secret doors, like, yeah, something's going on with that jump, like whenever you land somewhere, like as far as like the distance, like I don't know the terminology, but yeah, it was real wonk. It's even playing the remastered version on my PS3, I was like, oh, this jumping, I forget how bad this feels.
Yeah.
Am I remembering correctly that he could glide also?
So you could glide in some areas,
okay.
like, and like some forms, but not like 24/7.
It wasn't just an innate ability that he possessed.
No, like if you get wisdom mode, you could like glide kind of, but then also in the later games you get like different traversal things, and the jumping itself gets better. I think in from 1 to 2 specifically. But it's never like it doesn't. It's never is like a good. It's never a great jump. Like I would never say that it feels good.
Of course.
Yeah.
Couple that I want to bring up that I think are really good that like as far as FPS games go, like Quake 3 Arena and like Unreal Tournament and all those, like those feel awesome.
Yeah.
But also fucking Dusk is like it's so good, like just unlocking the y-axis in a first-person shooter that moves as fast as Quake does. The fact that you can like jump and do a backflip and shoot something behind you and then land moving the other direction is awesome.
Cool.
You know,
cool.
And like, why no first-person shooters do that? Like, especially like I get why Call of Duty doesn't do that. You know, I don't understand like why Doom doesn't do that. Like, why would you lock that? You know?
Yeah.
Because we only go forward. There's no looking back.
But like, you know what I mean? Like Doom or Proteus or like games that are meant to be fast-paced boomer shooter type games. Like, why would you? Why? It's just really weird.
Because you only look forward, no looking back. I literally just explained this.
I don't know, man. Like, I think that like, especially for games that are meant to be like feel like really fast, like you want to make it so that like I never have a reason to stop. Like I'm always able to keep going. I feel like I don't know if I don't know. I've played a lot of Proteus. I haven't played enough to like really get like a good feel for exactly how that game moves, but like I think Doom definitely could have benefited from that, especially if, like from all the shit that they have you doing in those games. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that also with boomer shooters, like especially with games like Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament, like jumping is so integral to how those games like are built, that like having a good jump like is just so essential. And you don't really think about it though. Like you don't really think about like how good a jump is in an FPS, but like you lean on it so much in those games, you know?
Yeah, I mean like I could be wrong. I think Quake is where strafe jumping originated, and like you clear a map so fast with that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, why isn't that in every single shooter? Like all of them, you know?
Yeah.
I will say I liked the jump in the Battlefront games. At least the OG ones, 1 and 2, and having the force jump whenever you're like playing as a force sensitive character.
Oh, yeah. Force jumps are cool.
Or adding the jetpacks whenever you're the troopers to the jump. That was always good too. I think it's so you can, especially when you're trying to take down like the larger like droids, like the AT-ATs and everything.
Yeah, I like a good jet assisted jump. It's not something that you see very often, honestly, but a good jet jump is always real fun.
I wish I was good at the Halo grapple hook jumps. I am not.
It's funny because like, okay, in Halo 2, there was this whole thing where people were obsessed with figuring out how to do super jumps in Halo 2. And it wasn't really, there was no actual practical, useful way to perform them. But people just tried to figure out every way that you could like interact with the geometry to set off a fucking super jump. And it was just like, I remember so our friend Jimmy and I would be in like, we'd have a custom game and I would just be standing there like in the game with him while he tried to figure out how to do these fucking jumps. And every once in a while, he would hit a stairway just the exact right way, and his character would shoot up into the sky. and there was no reason, like they're never going to use that in an actual match, right? But like, I think a lot of it was like, imagine if I did though.
Yeah.
And like, imagine if I did, and then I fucking got him. So I think that's what a lot of it came down to. But there's a lot of that going on. It was looking for skulls and figuring out super jumps. Skulls were, a little bit more useful because they did fun things, whereas super jumps did nothing but look cool, I guess.
You jumped superly.
Yeah,
they did two things.
Here's the thing: is that like once you do the super jump, you slam to the ground and die. So like I didn't see the point. I never saw the point of them, but it did them. I like, so one that I was thinking about that I forgot to mention was I really, really like, this is in all of the games, I really like the jump in Infamous. Because especially like with how much of a comic book superhero like that game like tries to make you feel like, I feel like essential to a comic book superhero is being able to jump across buildings and jump down off buildings into the street below and like look cool. And I feel like I have my feelings about Second Son, but I will say it was never not fun to move around that world.
Yeah.
Like especially like when you go into like when you're using your smoke power and you go into the smokestack and you shoot out of the smokestack.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
So I like stuff like that, and that was something that I got to a lesser degree. And Prototype, I think Prototype is eternally lamer than Infamous, but like they both were doing, they both had that going on. Is like really cool, like super high jumps, super far jumps, no fall damage.
Like I don't know why I don't really consider this as the same thing, even though it kind of is like character action games, right? Like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, like games like that, where it's like, your jump isn't super useful.
Yeah.
Right? Those games don't have a lot of complex platforming or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that you can jump in the air and pull an enemy up with you and shoot your guns at it or whatever, like,
yeah, it's
not super satisfying to do. It's not like complex to do, but like it's fun and it looks cool,
Yeah. Well, so okay, I do think that this goes for both Dante and Nero. They're both of these guys' best jump is the jump that accompanies the upward sword slash launcher that knocks guys in the air, and then when you follow them up, that's their best. That's both guys' best jump. And that move in and of itself doesn't feel necessarily like amazing, but when you enter it, when you interlace it into like a really long combo and you're in the zone, you got like 90 hits on these fuckers and you got an S rank in the fucking corner, and then you go to the other guy and then you launch him up and you follow him up there. That feels pretty fucking cool. So
sure.
You know what jumps I don't think feels cool? Except for in just the cinematic things. All the Assassin's Creed games I played. Because unless like you're going from the high point into like hey, where it's just like that cinematic thing, like you think as an assassin I'd be like feel all sneaky as I'm jumping and doing stuff.
No.
But I mean like it doesn't feel good. I don't like it. I'm gonna write to their mothers.
Well, see, I also think that like a big part of the problem with those games is there is no like actual like jump button, right? Like the jump is always like context sensitive. So it always it's based on like, are you near a ledge? Then here's a jump. Are you looking away from the wall you're holding onto? That's a jump, right?
Yeah.
And it's very easy to like
that's a jump.
Yeah. And we're
it's like most 3D Zeldas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no jump button in the majority of them. It's just you jump when you need to jump.
And I think that like taking away the agency of the jump in those games is what leads to like a lot of the frustrating moments where like you accidentally jump to your death because like I didn't mean to jump, but that's what happened.
I was near the edge and I didn't think I was close enough, but I guess it was.
Yeah, because because when you tie like pretty much every traversal action that you can do in the game to one button, it makes it really easy to do the wrong thing, and then it
Yeah.
fucks up the whole thing. So,
And if you're already not good at platforming, like it just makes it even more difficult. Because, yeah, of course I press the wrong button. It's
Yeah.
just the same button.
I think like also like along with like the Devil May Cry stuff, it's like what can I do during the jump? You know what I mean? If the jump isn't great, what can I do while I'm jumping? Like in Devil May Cry, right? You can shoot or whatever. Like that's just as important. Mega Man, all that crap. And then on top of that, like Portal, like it's just a normal FPS jump.
Yeah.
Right?
But you put portals
But
in there.
like but if you put a portal on the ground and then another portal on the ground and suddenly like you get this momentum going and it's just like fucking nuts, like that shit's really fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I remember the first time I played Portal, like the original Portal, and I got those portals going, and I just sat there in front of my TV, just like watching the fucking world go by like faster and faster. Just like, this is so fucking cool. Yeah, I think that brings up a good point. Like, because I don't necessarily think that the jump necessarily needs to be iterated on or reinvented. I think thinking about things that we can do during the jump to make it more entertaining or engaging, I think that's where it is.
Yeah, because I mean, like, not necessarily the jump, but the jump down or the falling down with Zelda. It like slows down time if you use like bows, which I think is like a good feature to it. But yeah, I mean, there's also like what the first one brought up is the Odyssey is like you get all the jumps and then also a cap they can throw to keep the jumps going.
Yeah.
Don't let the jump party stop.
Like think about like Alpha Series, right? Like it's just the same Street Fighter jumps. There's no super jumps, but now you can block while you're jumping. I
miss air block so much. Like, why do they take away? I feel like air blocking is so cool. Air blocking, air throws, all that shit, man. But I also think that like apart from like how the jump feels, it's really important to me, at least, how the jump looks. Like what kind of animation is the character doing when they jump, right? Like if I'm playing like, I think about like Control, right? And like every like pretty much every time in Control when you're in a fight, like it's like a billion guys shooting at you and you're running from place to place while they're like trying to run between pillars while they're shooting at you, and then sometimes you got to jump from one place to another, and like the whole like when she jumps and she's like doing the thing where she like waving her arms like that in midair, and then when you're in midair, like maybe you float and then you grab a dude, like that shit's cool. And I think that like looking cool, like the cool looking jump like really adds to like the aesthetic or like the feeling to it, rather.
That just makes me think of Max Payne or Stranglehold. The fucking bullet time bullshit. Yeah. Like that's
is
so
Max
great.
Payne's bullet time dive a jump?
I mean, yeah, you're jumping.
Yeah.
You're jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah. The feet are off the ground, you're shooting, you're having a good time.
If both feet are off the ground, we're talking a jump, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because then that means that flying is jumping.
Flying is jumping. You think when Superman flies, he doesn't do a jump to get up in the air, dude? He always bends his knees a little bit and then he pops off. That's a jump. Flying is a jump. Superman is doing a really long controlled jump.
Helicopters, they're jumping.
Jumping.
Airplanes, just jumping.
Yeah. If you get judo thrown, that's a jump. Both feet came off the ground.
Sure.
I do think
Does that mean that crisscross are just like pilots then?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Full House of Pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I would consider Max Payne's bullet time dive a jump.
Absolutely.
At the very
you're
least,
not platforming in Max Payne, but like it's still a jump.
Well, see, here's the thing: is like God, I can't remember which Max Payne it was. I can't remember if it was one or two.
One of them.
It was one or two. and I have a very distinct memory of using the bullet time dive to get from one platform to another. I can't remember which one it was though.
I'm sure you probably can in both,
the jump.
But yeah.
But you also at the same time, look, you use it as much as you would use a jump in any other game, right? If we're talking about like how much we're jumping, like during, let's say, a typical combat scenario, like let's say like your Devil May Cry or what have you, you're jumping in that game as often as you're bullet diving as Max Payne. So
yeah. In the Phantom Pain, you can jump into box and box sled down a hill.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's a good jump.
Yeah.
Is Fultoning a jump?
Absolutely. No, it's not. Unless you Fulton yourself.
Which you can do. You can't do?
I don't think
Fulton yourself? Well, one day. But yeah, man, I don't know. I guess I never... It's what's funny is that like it's kind of like how when people say like when a product is good, no one ever thinks about it, right? No one ever talks about it. But when the product is bad, then everybody's got so much to say about it, right? And the same thing with like jumps for me. Like I don't ever really think about a jump until I'm not having fun doing it. Like I didn't really think about the jump until I was having a really bad time playing Crash Bandicoot, and I was like, "This is not fun for me. These are not fun jumps."
Oh, I notice it. I notice it every time because if it's like good jumps and I'm doing, and then I'm just like, look at me, I'm platforming, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm super proud of myself. But if they're bad jumps, I'm like, is it the jump or is it me?
Yeah.
Am I the bad jump?
I think I'm somewhere in between. I don't think I notice it if it's like just par for the course, right? Any standard 3D platformer with a not terrible jump is just what you expect, you know? But like the Prinny jump is the first thing I noticed about that game, you know? And it's what I talk about the most when I talk about that game.
That is true. That is true.
You know, like I definitely do notice it when it's different.
Yeah. Yeah. But
did y'all have any closing thoughts on jumps?
Jump around. And I guess that's it.
How about you, Ryan?
No.
All right. Well, if you want to tell us about your favorite video game jumps, our Discord will be linked. You can also find us on most podcast apps.
Wait.
Can you let me finish?
No, Track and Field. NES with the stupid power mat.
Yes. Dude, that is the first time in my video game history when I did a super jump. Track and Field. You do
Track and Field.
There's in the long jump event, you step off the mat when you jump. And they think that you're jumping that whole time, dude. They think that you're really jumping that. But they know because gravity still exists in the Track and Field. And they're like, well, you got to come down sometime. So if you don't step on the mat at the right time, you're still going to biff it. But I remember all my friends, we'd do the Track and Field, and then all of us would take turns running on the mat, and we'd step off the mat for the jump.
Yeah.
So funny. That's so funny that I did that. You unlocked a childhood memory for me. That's so funny.
Hey, good video game jump, you know?
Yeah, it's a good video game jump.
But yeah, so we're on most podcast apps. We're also on the YouTube if you want to see our face. And bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.